On October 22nd, a mere 13 days prior to the US election, former biology professor turned podcaster Bret Weinstein has been evicted from Facebook. He tweeted, "I have been evicted from Facebook. No explanation, no appeal. I have downloaded, quote-unquote, my information, and see nothing that explains it. We are governed now in private by entities that make their own rules and are answerable to no process. Disaster is inevitable. We are living in it," unquote. If you don't know who Bret is, he is a professor at Evergreen University who stood up to a mob of would-be violent leftists in what he has since termed a Maoist uprising in the United States, which I agree with his characterization of, and was subsequently forced to retire from higher education and sued Evergreen University for endangering him and his family, as well as obliterating his career. Since then, he and his brother Eric Weinstein and his wife Heather Hang were all founding members of the informal group the Intellectual Dark Web, or IDW for short. All three are politically nonpartisan but lean heavily to the traditional left. Bret moderated debates between Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson, has a podcast on YouTube called the Dark Horse Podcast, and along with his wife and brother have advocated for a political platform they've termed Unity 2020, which doesn't favor either major party presidential candidate, Joe Biden or Donald Trump, but rather a reasonable and patriotic Republican and Democrat ticket, where one of them is president and the other is vice president, and then they swap roles at the end of a 4-year term. Hardly a rabid conservative loon or pusher of harmful conspiratorial misinformation, huh? In fact, if you know any of his work, and you aren't a Marxist, you're very likely to be impressed with how uncontroversial all of his positions are. All except one, that is, and maybe this gets to the reason for his banishment from Facebook. As a biologist, he's been very clear that male and female sex categories are real and unalterable, while gender is not. I've racked my brains, and that's the only possible position of his that I'm aware of that would piss off the Facebook censors. But Facebook, Twitter, and Google are private companies, I hear you say. You right-wingers aren't seriously suggesting the government force them to give people platforms if the companies don't want to, are you? That goes against the laissez-faire capitalist ethos. Fine. But then Facebook has to be upfront with all their customers that they aren't a platform but a publisher, and they have censorious trigger fingers for ideas that put them way to the left of their average user. Then based on that, their customer can decide to not invest in the company or use a different website. That is the free market option. And I'm sure it's cold comfort to a respected biologist who lost his career for doing absolutely nothing wrong and now struggles to support his family with a podcast that is mainly spread on social media, that Silicon Valley tech giant companies can sleep soundly, unafraid of even the most reasonable and unobtrusive regulations based on the free speech protections of the country that birthed all of those companies because they adopted those same values 15 years ago. Here's a few parting quotes on censorship. First, they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. And another quote from George R.R. Martin, "When you tear out a man's tongue, you are not proving him a liar. You're only telling the world that you fear what he might say." And boy, that seems relevant for the timing of this story. Between Bret Weinstein and the Hunter Biden laptop, New York Post, Twitter, and Facebook censoring, their safety departments are clearly shitting their pants that Biden won't win. So, Bret Weinstein, it's time to give up the Unity 2020 and hop aboard the Trump train, because he and the Republicans in the legislative branch are the only folks pushing back against the tech giants. It's not just in Bret's best interest to give them a clear mandate for putting a stop to this nonsense. It's in all of our best interests. You may just not believe that until it happens to you.
Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? The Shadow knows.
Hi guys, Media Shadow here. I'm trying to grow the channel and hopefully get more than one video out a week. So if you like what you've seen, please give me a like, subscribe, share, or drop me some coin on Patreon. I've left a link in the description of the video. Thanks!